Hi everyone, it's Gina K from Gina K Designs and your host of Stamp TV, and I'd like to welcome you to tonight's release party presentation. If you're watching tonight's video during our release party at stamptv.com, you can click on any of the links under the screen to be taken to our contest questions, our release party challenge, and our party chat thread where the design team has beautiful projects created just for you featuring tonight's new products. And tonight I have two brand new stamp sets, a brand new mini kit, a new incentive, and a couple of dies to show you. So let's get started. The first stamp set I want to show you is this brand new one called Wise Old Owl. This set is filled with adorable owl images and these cute little quippy greetings like "You're wise beyond your years," "You're a hoot," "I'll always be there for you," and "Thanks for all you do." And one of the things I love about this set is we did a coordinating set of dies. So now you can cut out all these little owls and you can have them peeking out of holes, you can have them sitting on tree branches, and all kinds of other fun card projects and ideas that I have so that we can stamp together using this new set. All right, so that's the first set. The second new set I want to show you is this beautiful Peony Wishes. And look at this gorgeous floral bouquet of peonies. This is huge. You can see on the back here, let me get that straight for you. You can see on the back here how big this is next to a card panel. So that's a huge stamp, and what I've done here is I've made sure that there was some room so that you could stamp one of these elegant greetings at the bottom of your card project or at the top, depending on how you want to lay it out. We have happy birthday, with sympathy, and so thankful. So there's some really good, useful greetings here, and this beautiful image can be embossed and sponged. It can be watercolored, colored with Copic markers and Prismacolor pencils. There's just so many different ways to use it. So I will be doing a video using this set as well. Now we have a brand new mini kit. This is called the Boho Flowers Mini Stamp Kit, and it is just filled with some really fun things. So, like all of our mini kits, it comes in a box that you can reuse to store all of the supplies together. And inside, it's wrapped with tissue paper. Let me break the seal here and show you what's inside. I'm going to pull everything out so you can see it all here. Lots of cardstock and other fun things. So I like to keep these boxes and store all the pieces together so when I want to make a Boho Flowers card, I know where everything is and it's all together on my shelf. So we're going to start with this beautiful large stamp set, and look at all of the stamps you get in here. You get these beautiful boho flowers, and these stamps are fun because they're kind of bold and chunky, yet they're open so that you can color them with different types of pencils and markers and things. It's got this beautiful butterfly, two flourishes that are going to make some beautiful backgrounds, and then 4 different leaves going in different directions so you can have them shooting off of the flowers. It also has a large "you" in here, this word, and this goes with all of these different greetings like "thank you," "you make me smile," "you are so kind," "thankful for you." So many fun possibilities with this one. Now you're also going to get a full set of dies, and these dies are positioned on one of the Stampin' Storage magnetic storage sheets. So if you have their system for storage, you're going to love this. And even if you don't have it yet, this is a great way to try it. You're going to love how strong this magnet is. You will not lose dies when you use this. And you can see how many dies there are in this set. This is a 6x8 set, by the way. And you get all of the leaves, the flowers, the butterfly, and both flourishes. So if you want to do some fun background techniques, you can. And you're going to be able to cut out the word "you" using this die. This is just the outline for this word. All right, and then you're going to get a mini tape runner, and you're going to get some cardstock. So let me show you the colors that are in here. We have quite a few pieces of our white heavy base weight cardstock. You're going to have enough to make 6 card bases. You're going to get 4 of the black onyx panels, 4 of the layering weight white, Then you're going to get 2 of the jelly bean green, 2 of the ocean mist, and 2 of the lovely lavender. And you're also going to get 6 of the Gina K Designs white envelopes, the A2 envelopes. So all of these wonderful things are included in this mini kit. It's such a great value, and we're going to have so much fun making cards together. So let me get this out of the way, and then I will show you the other fun things that we have. I'm going to put this all back in the box and tuck it away. Now we also have another die. And this die is a bigger U, and it has all the detail in it. And when you see how beautiful this die looks when it's cut, you're going to love it. This is a standalone purchase, so you can purchase this with or without the kit. And you can use this with a lot of the greetings you already have in your collection. So maybe you have a happy birthday to you greeting. All you have to do is tape off the U when you ink it up in the greeting and stamp it. That will eliminate the U. You just peel the tape off so no ink got on that word. And then you can die cut this huge U, and you can really modernize all of the greetings in your collection by having this hand-lettered looking U underneath some of the greetings you already have in your collection. We're going to use this die tonight in my card project, so you're going to see how pretty it is. Then we also have a brand new incentive set, and look at how fun this is. This is called Grand Greetings, and you can see how big they are. They really are quite grand. You have happy birthday to you, many thanks for all you do, and congratulations and best of luck. So you really cover a wide variety of card projects that you would want to make using this. And I kind of like this idea of having a more straight up and down font, because I think this one can be used a lot more for masculine cards. Some of them are very feminine, some of the greetings, but this one can be used either way. And it's also fun for kids' cards too. So those are all of the brand new products that we have coming out tonight. And I'm going to show you the first card project. So the products that you're going to need to make this project are, you're going to need 1 of the heavy base weight white panels from the Boho mini kit or cardstock you have at home. You're going to need a piece of black onyx and then a piece of layering white. I've cut a strip of black here, and then I have a couple extra pieces of white. For ink pads, I'm going to be using a Versamark ink pad. I'm going to be using some sweet corn, some jelly bean green, and some sweet mango. And along with those, I have a few sponge daubers because we're going to be doing some stenciling. And the stencil that I'm going to use is this brand new water droplet one. This was just released a few weeks ago, and it's sold out right away, and we have a whole new shipment back in stock, so we're going to use this one tonight. Then I'm going to be using my mini Misty for some stamping. Of course, you can use your regular Misty or your memory Misty, whichever one you have. Of course, I'm going to be using the Boho flower set. I'm going to be using the dies, and I'm also going to be using that large U die. And then I've got some scissors, some adhesive, and some foam squares, along with some white embossing powder, an embossing magic pad, and I even have some painter's tape. And that's where I'm going to start. So I'm going to use this white panel here and my stencil and get this all situated onto the stencil using the blue painter's tape. Now, if the painter's tape is a little bit sticky, you can always just touch it to your clothes before you actually tape it to your card. All right, so I've got 2 pieces holding it down there, and then I'm going to hold it onto my mat, and I'm going to start with some sponging. So I'm going to start with the sweet mango ink, and when you're sponging colors together like this, you want to kind of go in rainbow order. If you go out of order, let's say you decided to use sweet mango and then the jelly bean and the sweet corn, when these 2 colors blend together, you're going to get mud. It's not going to look very pretty. It's going to look like just kind of a brownish color that really doesn't flow. So you want to make sure you go in rainbow order. So we're going to do orange and then yellow and then green, and that's going to give us our rainbow effect, and it's going to make the ink colors blend really nicely together. So I'm going to start with some sweet mango, and I'm going to ink up my sponge dauber. And then I'm going to start from a little bit off the stencil. This way I don't have any big globs anywhere. Now if you have a Tim Holtz blending tool, you can certainly use that. They work very well with the Gina K inks. But I'm going to be using sponge daubers today. And I'm starting off of my card. And then I'm just lightly sponging in a circular motion like that. Now my next color that I'm going to use is the sweet corn, and again using a sponge dauber. I'm going to ink up that sponge dauber real well, and I'm going to come off of the stencil. I'm going to come from over here, kind of just blending lightly. And I want to get a lot of that sweet corn in there. And then I want to go back over that sweet mango a little bit to blend those two colors together. So you won't see any real heavy lines of demarcation anywhere. And if you want to add a little bit more of the first color, you certainly can. Kind of going back and forth and blending those together. So now my last color is going to be the jelly bean. And I'm going to bring that up from this corner. And you can see that once I get into that sweet corn, I'm going to go back with the sweet corn and blend some of that yellow down in to the jelly bean green. And so that gives you a really beautiful fade. You don't see any heavy lines where the colors go from one to the next. It just all kind of blends nicely together. So now I'm going to peel off the top level here of painter's tape and remove the stencil. You can see how nice that looks. But for me, this is a little bit harsh because it's got a lot of white showing, and I don't want quite as much white to show. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back with those same colors over those same areas using the same daubers, but I'm not going to re-ink them. So I'm just going to add a little bit of light orange here, the sweet mango, just to soften the look, but it still doesn't interfere with that vibrant pattern. I'm going to do the same thing here with the sweet corn. I'm going to come down across the whole thing. And then my last one is going to be the jelly bean. And I'm going to lightly add some of that over those white areas. And that just softens the whole look. But you can still see that beautiful pattern and that beautiful fade. Now I'm going to grab this piece of white cardstock and my mini Misty. And I'm going to start with the Embossing Magic Pad, and I want to just cover this piece of cardstock with that, because we're going to do a little bit of embossing. And then I'm going to place that cardstock into my mini Misty. Now, of course, you can use, like I said, you can use your regular Misty for this. I just happen to grab the mini one here. It's when I'm just doing basic stamping, I don't need the additional space, but when I'm doing techniques, then I definitely like having the bigger Misty. And I'm going to position these flowers onto the piece of white cardstock. And I'm also going to position the leaves. I'm going to leave a little room to add one more in there. So let's pick those up using the lid of the Misty. And then reposition that cardstock. And I'm going to grab my Versamark ink pad. I'm going to ink these stamps up real well. Now, when you get brand new stamps out of the package, the manufacturing process sometimes leaves behind a little film over the stamps, and you might not get beautiful images right off the bat. Versamark actually really helps to condition the stamps, but you do want to make sure that you ink your stamps up a few times and stamp them off on scrap paper before you actually start using them on your projects. Just by stamping them a few times, that conditions them. With the Gina K Design stamps, you never have to use a nail file or anything else like that on them. That will ruin them. You just want to make sure that you stamp them, get them nice and inky a few times, and then that ink's going to grab beautifully onto them. All right, and you can see I am really giving a lot of extra pressure here on each of these because they are new stamps. And so I want to make sure that I'm getting a good transfer of ink. And if not, because I'm using the Misty, I can always go back and stamp again. All right, so I'm going to pull that off, and that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to grab my embossing powder here. I've got some white embossing powder I stole from our retail store, from our classroom. And it's all in this little Tupperware container. Not a Tupperware container, it's a little Glad container. But it does make it easy to add embossing powder to your project without having embossing powder get all over the place. All right, so that's looking pretty good. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that looks pretty good. Got a little blotchy spot there, but I think that's user error. So I'm gonna use my nail to clean that up. It is a good idea to have a small paintbrush close by because you can always just dust off anything that's on there before you heat it up. And it's always a good idea to preheat your tool just a little bit to get it nice and hot. And this way you won't have to worry about your paper warping. However, because we're die cutting these, it really doesn't matter so much, so I'm just going to start right away. Let me just, I got one little spot there I want to get off. There we go. All right. And I'm using the craft mat by Ranger here, and you can heat emboss right on it without any problem at all. If you have a wood surface that you're working on, you do want to be a little bit more careful. I have a stone surface, so that's not going to hurt it at all, but this mat is great for embossing and all kinds of techniques because it just wipes clean. All right, so those are done, and then I'm going to add one more stamped image to this. So I'm going to put this right back in my Misty here, and I'm going to peel these excess stamps off. I will clean them later because I like to, when I use Versamark, I like to give them a good bath. I like to scrub them with a toothbrush and get rid of all of the stickiness. So I'll take those to the sink later. But I'm going to stamp one more. So let's get this into position here. I'm going to stamp one right there. And I'm going to ink it up real well with Versamark. And stamp it. And again, putting extra pressure on it. And then I'm going to grab that embossing powder again and add some of that. You can see how, boy, I really got that all over. And then you can see how that is embossed. Maybe you can't see it very well, but that is ready to be heated. I really wanted 3 flowers. I like to do 3s or 5s. Odd numbers really look nice. Now it's time to add the greeting. And what I've done here is I've set up my greeting on my mini Misty, and I'm going to add a little bit of this Embossing Magic pad onto this little strip of black cardstock. I've cut this 3 3/4 inches by 1/2 inch. And I'm going to ink that up using the Versamark ink. And I'm going to stamp that like that. Now I'm going to grab this little piece here with a clothespin, and that's going to enable me to work without burning my fingers and just makes it a little bit easier to control everything. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my heat tool. Let's just wipe these little excess ones away. Okay, I'm going to grab my heat tool and I'm going to heat this greeting up. There we go. That nice bright white embossing powder is so pretty. All right. So now I have my greeting, and that's ready to go onto my card. Now before we do that, I do want to add a little bit of color to these flowers. So I'm going to go back to my orange, my sweet mango color, and my sponge dauber, and I'm going to ink up that sponge dauber real well, and starting right in the center of the flower, I'm going to add some color. Isn't that so fun and pretty? I'm going to do the same thing with the smaller flowers. And then I'm going to add some of that jelly bean green. Let me grab that sponge dauber. I'm going to add some of that onto the leaves. Now before you die cut, one thing that you definitely want to do is you want to get a piece of paper towel and you want to wipe over the surface of your flowers and your leaves. And you can see that some of that ink that was just pooled on the top, because it's not going to color the embossed parts, that would kind of get all over your fingers. So it's kind of nice to clean that up before you move on to the next step. Now I want to show you how I'm going to use my Big Shot and this new magnetic plate. I picked this up and I really like it because it allows me to die cut more than one flower at a time. These flowers do have an orientation. We do have some petals are a little fatter than other ones, so you just kind of want to play with it until you get it in the right orientation. And then if you want, you can always mark your dies at the top, and then make sure you mark your stamp too with a little Sharpie or something, and that will enable you to quickly die cut anytime you want. All right, so let's get this one into place. And then I'm going to get my leaves in place. Sometimes there's a little pull with these magnets, and I'm not sure if they're pulling each other toward each other or what's going on. So kind of find the ones that work, and then you can go back and do the other ones after. I have to research this a little bit more. I just got this machine, so it's a new tool for me. I'm loving how the dies just snap right into place, but they do pull a little bit sometimes, and so I've got to research why that is. Okay, so I'm going to cut these first 3 out. Now I have all of my flowers die cut and ready to go on the card. So I'm going to put these off to the side here. And then I'm going to cut out this large U die. So I have a piece of black cardstock here, and I'm going to lay that die on this cardstock, and this is a very detailed die. So what I like to do with detailed dies is I run it through like this, and then I run it back again, and I will do that about 3 or 4 times. Now, of course, if you're using an electronic die cutter, not an electronic one, but an electric one like the Gemini, it'll pass through on the first time with no problem. It'll cut everything. But a lot of you have the Big Shot or the Cuttlebug, so I did want to show you how nicely this die cuts using just a hand-cranked die cutting machine. You can see it's very delicate, so I'm being careful when I'm taking it out and poking these parts out. But you can see how pretty that cut. Look at those delicate lines. Isn't that beautiful? Such a great word for your collection. Okay, so I'm going to move my Big Shot out of the way here. And now it is time for us to assemble this card. So I'm going to grab that card base and a piece of black cardstock. I'm also going to get my tape, some scissors, and some foam squares. I'm going to start by adhering that beautiful stenciled pattern onto a piece of black onyx cardstock. And once we get that into place, then you can decide, do you want the orange part of the background at the top? Do you want the green at the top? You kind of look at it and decide how you want it. I think I'm going to put the orange up at the top, and then I'm going to lay things out the way I want them to look. So this greeting is going to go up at the top here, and then I'm going to have the big U right here, like that. Then my flowers, I'm going to lay these out the way I want them. Make sure they don't interfere with anything else. Kind of bunch them up together. And then I have my leaves, so I'm going to put the smaller leaves here on these smaller flowers, and then the larger leaves are going to go down here at the bottom with the larger flower. Maybe I'll put the, well, let's see how it all lays out. Yeah, I kind of like that. Okay. So now it is time to adhere this all together. So I'm going to start by, now I know how I want that to look. I'm going to just scoop it off there. And I'm going to adhere this panel onto my card base. Just like that. Then I'm going to use some of these foam squares, and I'm going to put them onto the flowers. Get those back in position. And then using the tape, I'm going to tape this greeting down up at the top here. All right. Now we want to make sure we know where the U is at all times so we don't overlap it. And then for the big flower, I'm going to use 2 foam squares. And foam squares come in different sizes, so you can use the 1/2 inch ones, which are bigger, or you can use these little 1/4 inch ones, which are really fun and very useful. And then I'm going to add a foam square here and a foam square here. And adhere these like that. And then I'm going to add my leaves. I'm just going to add a little bit of tape. Tape them down like that. Sneak that one in there. And then that one's going to go right in there. Now, I want to add this U, but I want to pop it up. And because it's so delicate, I'm going to use just little 1/2 pieces of foam squares. And I'm going to place these just on the fat parts of the letters. Like that. Put one there on the U, on the O, one there on the Y. One over here. And I'm just pulling the little liners off as I go. And then one down here to keep that sturdy. Okay, so now I'm going to position this exactly where I want it. Let's come in just a little closer on this one so you can see it. Okay, so probably could use a little tweezer. Let's just get that laying down there. There we go. What would I do without you? So there is one that's done with sweet mango, sweet corn, and jelly bean green. Now I have another sample that I did using the colors that are in the kit. The jelly bean green, the ocean mist, and the lovely lavender. So there's two different cards, and this one you can see I used bigger flowers. Here I used two of the smaller flowers. And look how pretty they look with the matching envelopes. So I'm going to just lay that one there with a sweet mango envelope, and this one over here with a jelly bean green envelope. So there are my finished card projects. I hope you've enjoyed this evening's release party presentation video. Stay tuned to Stamp TV for more projects featuring the Boho Flowers mini kit. All of the products are now available at GinaKDesigns.com. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and happy stamping.